Hello everybody, this is Brendan's Trains here, and this time I'm going to be doing a little documentary of my top 12 retired steam excursion stars from the USA. But when I'm doing this list, I'm not going to be doing it alone because I have a very special guest joining me. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Pineapple Turtle X here, and today, along with my friend Brendan's Trains, we will be talking about the top 12 excursion stars.
Thank you. Anyways, let's go on with my top 12 retired steam excursion stars.
Number 12, Southern Pacific 4274. The Southern Pacific was well known to have the P-class Pacifics in their GS-class Northerns. However, for their heavy freight service, the railroad had 256 cab forwards built. The 4274 was built in 1943 as part of the AC-11 batch of cab forwards. 4274 was more luckier than the rest after being put into storage in 1956. It sat there until 1957. In 1957, 4274 was steamed up one last time to haul the final steam passenger train over Donner Pass. After the excursion, it was sadly scrapped. Even though 4294 and the tender of 4219 were spared, none of the AC-11s are left to keep on 4274's legacy, except 4294 carries on all of the cab forward's legacy.
Number 11, Norfolk and Western number 2174. I know Jim Dander Koch put this engine on his list, but I really like the Y6b locomotive in general, and plus they're one of my favorite steam locomotives. But now, let's go into the history. 2174 is a member of the Y6b type steam engines. They had a 2-8-8-2 wheel arrangement, which meant you had 2 wheels up on the lead truck, 8 drive wheels, another 8 drive wheels, and 2 wheels on the trailing truck. And all 30 of them were built between 1948 and 1952. And they were numbered 2171 to 2200. The Y6b locomotives themselves were built entirely by the Norfolk and Western themselves. So if you wanted a really modern 2-8-8-8-2 locomotive, the Y6b was the ultimate choice. Unfortunately, almost all the Y6Bs were scrapped when the Norfolk and Western gave up steam in 1960. However, 2174 was far more luckier than the rest of the Y6Bs, and this is because she was one of 2 locomotives to pull the farewell to steam excursions in July of 1959. The other engine used was Class A locomotive number 1240. 2174 made a splendid sight as she hauled the passenger trains full of people until her last run. After the excursions ended, 2174 was sold to a scrapyard in Roanoke, along with a tenderless Y6 number 2143. The Roanoke chapter of the Railway Preservation Society made an attempt to save the 2174. Unfortunately, the funds kept passing away. And in 1976, the owner of the scrapyard was taken over by someone in the United Kingdom who had no interest in preserving these steam engines in the yard. So, the 2174, the last of the Y6Bs, was broken up for scrap in 1976. It's a shame that 2174 did not make it out, but at least we have 2 other Malley engines around, those being number 2050 at the Illinois Railway Museum and 2156 at the National Railway Museum in St. Louis.
Number 10, Southern Pacific number 4460. This is the first of 10 GS6 type locomotives, all built in 1943. They were numbered 4460 to 4469. They were known to pull the daylight passenger trains from time to time. After that, 4460 was downgraded to local passenger trains and even freight trains on the Southern Pacific. In 1958, it was the last steam engine used on the Southern Pacific. It pulled the last steam-powered passenger train on the Southern Pacific. That run was from Sacramento, California to Spark, Nevada and return. That train was the last excursion train on the Southern Pacific. After it pulled that train, it was retired. On April 16, 1959, it was donated to the National Museum of Transportation in St. Louis, Missouri, where it resides today.